A 90s country icon joins us on this edition of the Music Universe podcast.
Oh my goodness, buddy. I'm just, at least the weather's getting nice. How about that?
Well, for you, it's been raining, and our next guest couldn't believe that it was actually raining in Bakersfield.
Yes. Yes, because he loves Bakersfield. The Buck Owens Palace is important to John Barry, 90s country icon. Very well known for his love songs.
Yeah, you've got Your Love Amazes Me, so many, Kiss Me in the Car, Standing on the Edge of Goodbye, just so many great songs with that iconic voice. And I was super pleased we got to chat with him. And we chatted with him for a good 30 minutes.
Yeah, he was stellar. I really loved what he had to say about the importance of love songs to country music. And well, we'll talk about this after, but there's a very special story about Joe Diffie that you have to hear.
Yes, and so sit back because I got the chills when he was talking, and I'm sure you will too, with John Barry on the Music Universe podcast.
John Barry, welcome to the Music Universe podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm doing terrific. How about yourself?
Oh, we're hanging in there. You said it's a beautiful day in Nashville. How are you holding up during this safer at home situation?
Things are good. I actually am out running an errand today. My son Kalen he's got a little studio at his house, and he's doing some drum tracks for some folks, and he needed some microphones. So we had to go over to my bus and dig into my trailer and get some gear off the trailer for him. So it's nice to see some sunshine.
Oh, I bet. And I guess you guys are, he's doing some remote recording, because that's kind of the thing that people are doing these days.
Yeah, he's got a little studio at his house, and he's just finishing it up, getting it up and working. And so he's got that. I've got a little studio at my house. It's not really a studio. I've got a studio set up in my office, and we do every Sunday night at 6 o'clock Central Time. We do a little broadcast on Facebook Live and a bunch of other platforms as well. But it all goes out at the same time, and it's a character. It's me actually as the grandfather that I am. Too soon. At the end of this month, I'll be a grandfather.
Oh, congratulations!
Congratulations!
And thank you. And my son and his wife, and they call me Papa Bear. And they spell it B-E. They spell it instead of Barry. They call it Bear, and it's B-E-R-R. And Papa Bear. And so I started the idea of taping some songs. Taping me reading some stories on videotape. And since my granddaughter's going to be living in Texas and I won't be able to be out there a lot, they'll have some videotapes of me reading storybooks to her. And then we decided to put it online. So with that, we've been the past 3 Sunday nights at 6:30, I guess 6 o'clock Central Time. We've been having Papa Bear story time.
Oh, that's cool.
Love that.
It's been a lot of fun. We had a slew of folks on there with us this past week, and it's been a lot of fun getting pictures from little kids. Folks send their pictures of their little ones sitting in front of the iPad or their computer or whatever, watching Papa Bear sing songs and read stories to them.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have to check that out.
I love that.
And we'll post the link. How long do you plan to continue doing that?
I have no idea. We're gonna try and do it every Sunday, and give some of these families a little something for the young ones to do for a little while on Sunday evenings. Of course, they can rewatch them on my YouTube channel, and just some good wholesome stuff for kids to do. And with all this quarantine stuff, I'm sure kids are getting pretty bored.
Oh, yeah. They have to be.
Adults are getting bored.
So you celebrate 41 years as a country performer this year and a songwriter. It's been 27 years since you signed your first record deal. How much fun are you having when you're actually able to do it, to actually be on the road and be recording and just doing what you love?
It's awesome. Matter of fact, we were, like I said earlier, I was just up at our bus getting some microphones off the bus for my son to use at his studio, and I just had to crank the bus up and let it run for a few minutes. I just needed to smell the smell of diesel fuel. I miss being on the road.
Man, well, your kind of music and what I love about what you do crystallized in a YouTube comment. You should go on and read. So they say don't read the comments, but I read this today and it got me thinking. Your music, it's back when country artists were in love, not lust. I mean, and we've talked about this with some of our other guests. All of a sudden, guys are afraid to get emotional anymore in their music. What draws you to the kind of more emotional love songs that you do?
Oh, well, I'm just a sap, so. I love emotional music. I love music that's got some fire about it, It's got something that just tears at your heart, something that just pulls at you. I like that. That's just the kind of music I grew up doing and I grew up listening to. And, especially those Torch songs, man. I love that kind of music. It's You and Only You. If I Had Any Pride Left at All. And that's two of my favorites that I've done.
Your love amazes me, does it for me? That's just such a classic love song. It's really great, and your voice just shines on that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, my friend Chuck Jones wrote that with Amanda Hunt Taylor, and I wish I had been in on the right end of that song. But man, I tell you what, they sure wrote them a piece of music with that one. I was just a lucky guy who got to record it.
Well, like I said, you did a beautiful job, so it's awesome.
Thank you.
What do you make of modern music? Are we losing those torches, as you say? Are we losing that touch in country music and love songs today?
Well, music is cyclical. I mean, it goes through changes and then it comes back. But because it has to stretch out there and see if there's anything else that can be included. And then it kind of comes back. And it stretches anything else that can be included. And then comes back. So, if it just stretched out there and was all new stuff all the time, then that'd be tough. And it'd be tough to hang on to that. But the fact that it comes back and brings some good new elements to it, it keeps it fresh. Not losing its roots and not losing that thing that makes it special, but just adds little things to it that ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, some of the artists from the 80s may have problems with some of the music that came out in the 90s and the 2000s. But what about the music from the 50s? I mean, the country music from the 50s is a world different than the country music from the 80s.
Oh yeah,
right.
But they brought some stuff along and they got some of the good stuff, and then then you listen to classic country stations, and they play the best of the time, and you're going to hear some great stuff, and all of it just has this progression. It just grows, and it absorbs the good stuff and sort of sheds the bad stuff. That's my my redneck philosophy of looking at music.
Nothing wrong with that. Now, you recently released your latest album, Thomas Road. Has the quarantine allowed you to write or work on anything new?
I have not written. I have not really gotten into writing anything this past year. This time last year, I was going through cancer treatment, involved throat cancer, and so I didn't really write much last year, and I just haven't gotten back in the groove of doing that yet. We've got a couple of projects we're working on where my wife and I have a podcast that's going to be coming out very shortly called Faith, Family, and Friends.
I love it.
And it's the first three episodes are just my wife and I just talking about our lives and how we got into doing music together, and how I got into doing music so many years ago. And then I think starting with the fourth episode, we have a guest and their spouse with us. And we're trying to get guests and their spouses to come and be with us, because my wife and I have been working together for years and years and years. She sings in the band, of course, but she also is very involved with the business end of how we do things, and she's very creative. And matter of fact, if you ever see a T-shirt design of ours, or some really cool idea of something we're doing, 99% chances it's something she thought of. So.
Oh, nice.
She's pretty smart.
Yeah, it's great to have a smart woman that can also be your business partner with you, you know?
Yeah, and she's pretty too.
Oh, yeah. That's important. So I know we were going to touch on the cancer thing. How are you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good. I've started putting some weight back on. I went down. I was originally 206 the day that I was diagnosed with throat cancer, and I was a little I was a little above my Elvis weight at that point. Mm-hmm. and then through the cancer treatments, I lost so much weight. I went down to 154.
Wow.
And no, I'm sorry, 147.
Oh wow.
And that's the worst thing I've ever been through in my life. I hope I never have to make the decision to go through that kind of treatment again. That's tough.
Right.
Toughest thing I've ever done.
Well, we're so glad.
And where you were. What's that?
I was going to say, we're so glad you beat it.
Well, thank you. Me too. And we went out and sang, and we did our Christmas tour this year, and I didn't miss a note. So everything was good. We'll continue on, and I'm starting to eat again. My eating's really weird because my food don't taste the same to me anymore, and textures in my mouth feel really weird, and I'm really weird about what I eat. It's kind of crazy, but that's just the way it is. I eat a lot of Caesar salad, and I drink a lot of milkshake.
Ain't nothing wrong with milkshakes.
No.
Yeah. Oh no. Nothing wrong with milkshakes at all.
And it's a miracle you got through throat cancer with your voice intact. That is amazing. Did the doctors tell you at any point? Did they tell you at any point that the voice could go? Did they tell you at any point that that there was a risk to your vocals?
They were very cautious. They were careful about being too optimistic or being too negative. They were pretty neutral, but they were very cautious. As a matter of fact, I went in for a checkup. It was one of my regular routine checkups. As I was getting radiation, it was near the end of the radiation. Actually, I had 7 chemotherapy treatments, which I don't. Chemotherapy is the worst thing on the planet. There's nothing worse than going through chemotherapy. The radiation was bad. I had 7 chemotherapy treatments, and I had 35 radiation treatments.
Wow.
Now, the skin around my neck, because they radiated my throat, and to kill off any cancer cells. And it made the skin like leather, like an old football. But there was this white stripe across the center of my throat, and my wife was so concerned that it was an infection or something. So she asked the radiologist, she said, "What's the white stripe across John's throat?" And he said, "Well, we knew that John was a singer, so we programmed the radiation waves to go around his vocal cords."
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So it left a little white spot on my neck. Yeah, I'm telling you. People say there's no miracles anymore. That's a miracle, man. It's a miracle that God gave people the talent to be able to think of that. To be able to think of, to program radiation waves, to think of radiation waves, period, to cure cancer. I mean, that's pretty doggone a miracle. But then to be able to program the waves to go around the vocal cords, to not damage them. How cool is that?
Oh, that's giving me chills.
That's yeah. I live with some docs, and I had no clue. People in science and stuff, and I had no clue that was even possible. I thought something like that just goes where it goes. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to be when they radiate you, they just radiated everything.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well,
Amazing.
hopefully you stay healthy and continue to, be able to use that voice, because I know you just lent your voice to Joe and Martina's new single called Give Me Back the 90s. I've heard that song. It's really catchy. I really like it. How did you get involved with that?
Well, they've been playing around here in Nashville the past couple of years, and my son Kalen has played some dates with them. He's our drummer, and they've gotten to be good friends. And ends up, Martina and Joe are fans of my music, and Martina, her favorite song is "Standing on the Edge of Goodbye," and I got to meet them, and they're just lovely, lovely people. And I went into a place here in Nashville that they were playing one night, the scoreboard out by Opryland, and I got to hear them play. And they asked if I'd sing a song with them, and I did. And we did "Stand on the Edge of Goodbye" together. It was a lot of fun. And next thing I know, they called and asked if I'd be a part of this song that Joe had written with some friends, and so they sent it to me, and I listened to it, and I was like, well, heck yeah, man, I'm in. So I thought it was a great song, and I thought they did a great job producing the record, and I was thrilled to be a part of it. It was a lot of fun.
The younger respects the traditions and people that came before and asks them to be included. And what I love about you, now, I don't mean to, I mean this very respectfully, because I love that, as we mentioned, it's been about it's been almost 3 decades since your record deal. I think you were in your early mid 30s when that first deal came along. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nowadays, you're seeing artists getting signed at 24, 25. Luke Combs hits at 27. And for a lot of people, that can be a little too early. And I'm just wondering if you ever gave thought to, like, you hit at the right time. You may have been in your 30s, but it was the right time. Have you ever thought about that? About the age it kind of hit for you?
Yeah, it's funny. I had done 6 albums before I ever got a record deal.
Mm-hmm.
I had done them on my own, and I had never really thought much about going to Nashville and getting a record deal. I was living my own dream,
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually driving home from. I was playing clubs in Athens, Georgia, and the surrounding area on a pretty regular basis, and I was driving home from a gig. We lived about 18 miles out of town, out in the country, and as I was driving home, it was about 2:00 in the morning, and the song came on the radio. The DJ goes, "Hey, we got a brand new song from Joe Diffie," and this was in February, I think, of '92. And I love Joe Diffie. I turned the volume up, and on comes this beautiful song called "Ships That Don't Come In." And Joe got to the chorus, and he sang that beautiful chorus. "Here's to all the soldiers who've ever died in vain, the insane locked up in themselves, and the homeless down in Maine. Those who stand on empty shores and spit against the wind, and those that wait forever for ships that don't come in." And man, I was a puddle.
Yeah.
It hit me like a freight train. For the first time in my life, it occurred to me that, well, maybe all you'll ever do is be this guy playing clubs in this college town. That's as big as you'll ever make it. Sure, you got a nice little piece of land out here in the country and a little farmhouse, and got you an RV riding around singing for folks. But that's all it's going to be. And that just wasn't going to cut it, man. I was in tears. It just broke my heart. I got home and I woke my wife up, and through tears, I told her about Joe's song and what I was thinking. And we stayed up all night for hours. And we came up with a plan to go to Nashville every 3 weeks do an industry showcase for a year. And if we didn't garner any attention, we'd punt. We'd come up with something else to do. But we were going to give it a solid year. Every 3 weeks, go to Nashville, do a showcase. We did our first industry showcase, and we sent out 250 invitations to industry professionals. And one guy on that list showed up. And I got a record deal with Capitol Records because of Herky Williams.
Wow.
And
Wow.
And that song literally changed my life. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we
That's
unfortunately
beautiful.
just lost Joe last week. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was a very sad phone call I got from a friend to let me know that Joe had passed away. And matter of fact, we were talking about Joe. The same friend, he and I were talking about Joe the other day, because last time I saw Joe at the Opry several months ago, I was like, Joe, are you okay? Because he just looked like he was red in the face and looked like he was just not in good shape. And he said, oh, I'm fine. He said, I kind of get this way whenever I sing, and just, like blood pressure goes up or whatever, I don't know. But my friend and I were talking about Joe, and I was just concerned that maybe I was hoping that this coronavirus would stay clear of him, because I knew he was having some breathing problems and respiratory problems. It seemed to be a little bit. And so I just really, when I heard that, and I was just like, good grief, I can't believe. And I do understand that it had nothing to do with the coronavirus, but it was just other issues that he had. So
that's just, had you become, because I know the greatest joy for me in doing this whole music journalism thing is getting to meet heroes and getting to know them and have a relationship that I never could have predicted with some people. I know Buddy feels the same way. And what was your relationship like with Joe? Did you become friends? Did you just know each other through social circles? I mean, how did you guys stay in touch at all?
Just really, we just knew each other to speak to. And I at the Opry, last year when I saw him at the Opry, I did have an opportunity to tell him how much that song had changed my life. And matter of fact, that was the last time I saw there. But in one of the trade papers, I saw that picture of me and Joe standing there with me talking to him about that song.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And now you're featured singing in a song called Beautifully Broken in a film. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was really, really cool. My old producer, Chuck Howard, he produced all the records that you heard me play on the radio. She's Taking a Shine, You and Only You, Your Love Amazes Me, Kiss Me in the Car, all those records. Chuck produced those. Well, in recent years, Chuck has been he's been producing faith-based independent films, and doing really well, doing good movies with good messages and biblical truth. And he called me up. He said, John, I'm out of town, but I just emailed you a rough cut of this movie called Beautifully Broken. When I get home tomorrow, I'm going to send you the song, but look at the movie and see if you'd like to be a part of the film. He said, it's a little different, but I'll send you the song tomorrow. Well, I watched the movie, and man, it was really powerful. And it's a true story. It takes place in the mid-'90s. It's a genocide that took place in Rwanda. I was busy with number one records, and I had brain surgery and all kinds of stuff in '94. And I didn't even know there was a genocide taking place in Rwanda. I just didn't know. And that's sad. But basically one group of people hated another group of people, and they tried to wipe them out. But in the midst of it all, this is a story about three families, two from Rwanda and one from Nashville, Tennessee. And the tapestry that could have only be woven by God, where these three families literally save each other's lives in different ways. And it's crazy crazy film. And some of it's hard to watch because it's really very historically accurate. And it's kind of crazy that I sent the rough cut of the film to my son's father-in-law in Texas. Not to overcomplicate this story, but Tim, my son's father-in-law, Tim Barnett, has become a dear friend, one of my best friends. And I wanted him to look at it just to get a sense, faith-wise, was it a good storyline? Because I'm a Christian and I want to be sure things I do are in line with my faith strongly.
Sure.
And he called me back and he said, "Man, I love the film." He said, "It's great. You should do it." He said, "By the way," he said, "there's a scene in that movie where they land at the airport in Kigali, Rwanda, Africa." And I said, "Yeah, I remember that scene." He said, "That's the airport that we are flying into in July on a mission trip with our church. Do you want to go?" So 2 years ago, or this coming July, it'll be 2 years ago, we went to Rwanda, Africa for 10 days and got to go and be where all this had happened, where this had taken place. Matter of fact, we got to go to the Genocide Memorial Museum, and it was quite heartbreaking to go and just the realization of how that's just part of their culture there, and that they have to, that's part of their past that they have to deal with, and it's tough. But it was quite a journey, and it just helped make that film come to life for me. And if I'm sure the film is still available out there, maybe Amazon Prime or something like that. If any of your listeners would like to see it, it's a wonderful film.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out now. Now, I love your stories. Are these some of is this kind of a snippet of what people can experience on your TV show, Songs and Stories with John Barry on Ride TV?
Yeah, the episode season 1, I guess it's still out there. I don't know. But yeah, we had it. It was on several networks. But yeah, Songs and Stories with John Barry, and I'd have songwriters, and we would. I know there's been several shows where they have songwriters that sit and tell the stories behind their songs and stuff, but ours was with a live audience and with a live band, so it had a bigger energy about it, you know.
Yeah, nice.
And it was a lot of fun, and we'd love to do it again. And if I could get the publishers to work with me on the royalty rates, but I couldn't do it anymore because it cost me too much in royalties to pay, because we had 1, 2, 3 or 4 songs per episode, and so over the season of 13 episodes, you know, the royalty rate, it made it so expensive we couldn't afford to do the show again.
So you were producing this yourself?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, I was the producer and the janitor.
Wow.
And everything in between. So.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. You know, I know you've had obviously some tour dates probably impacted by this. You've got the Christmas, your annual Christmas shows, it looks like. Are you still planning for the, like, let's say July 1st is what I've heard. A lot of the industry is going to start back up. Do you have plans for the summer and beyond at this point?
We've gotten all of our spring dates and early summer dates were all rescheduled for later in the summer into the fall. And our Christmas tour typically starts the weekend before Thanksgiving every year. And we do a lot of the same cities, but we have some cities we do every other year, some cities we do every year, and then we try to add new cities every year as well.
Right on. Well, if you ever come up to Bakersfield again, I'll have to come out and see you.
Oh yeah, I look forward to coming back to Buck's again, playing out there. Matter of fact, I've got Buck's guitar right here in my room with me. He gave me one of his guitars. Wow. And I got him to autograph it before me. He was a very kind man to me.
That's what I've heard.
Yes, he was. Well, since we started talking about Bakersfield, I think Buck is a good place to end this. We're at our time. John Barry, this was a treat. You need to write a book. I'm telling you, your stories and the way you tell them are fabulous. So thank you very much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you guys, and y'all stay safe. And hopefully this will blow over soon, and we can all get back to life. But let's not go back to life the way it was. Let's make it better, okay?
Absolutely, and
Exactly.
you stay safe. Best of health, and look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, buddy.
The stories had me enthralled. I mean, I love when our guests do our job for us and we can just sit back and just let them talk.
Oh yeah, I mean, I even got teary-eyed at a few of those. I don't know if anyone could tell, but like I was getting teary-eyed at just the emotion behind what he was saying. I mean, you hear us quiet through much of that, and that's just because I was overwhelmed with the emotion about how he proceeded to live after his cancer and what he had to go through, and then how he actually turned into a career, because Joe Diffie released a song, and he just made it his life's mission to let's go chase that dream, as I think everybody should. So super nice guy. So glad he joined us.
I'm thrilled too. And I'm hearing more and more and more as we do these and just in the news in general about Joe Diffie and what an impact he had on country music and the world in general. Because to be honest, and I hate when it's like this, but until he passed, I had no clue how important he was. I just thought he was frankly, no disrespect to the dead, I thought he was a D-list player in 90s country because his name didn't even come up as often as Travis Tritt in our conversations or anything like that. But to hear how important he truly was and what he accomplished and what he meant to so many has really opened my perspective, broadened my perspective on how important he was.
I knew he was a great singer, and I loved his music. I know I previously said I wasn't like a huge fan, but as I got older and more into 90s country, I really appreciated him more, and I've got most of his albums. I didn't realize how inspiring he was to people because, like you said, his name wasn't mentioned as often as many other 90s country artists. So super glad that he's getting that respect. It's unfortunate it took this. It seems. I mean, I guess it didn't take his passing for that to happen, but that's just kind of where it's becoming more of in the know.
Absolutely. Well, that does it for this edition of the Music Universe podcast. I'm Matt Bailey.
And I'm Buddy Yan. Thanks for listening, and keep checking out themusicuniverse.com.